Aye, shepherd's pie, greetings from the Philippines. Welcome back to the channel for an interview with my new friend Tim. And we are down at the poolside area, his Des Res, which is called, what's it called, Tim?
Richmond Homes. Richwood Homes, I think. Richwood, yeah.
We're down at Richmond Homes, Bekong. Now, I've known Tim for a couple of weeks now. I met him at the quiz down at Sideways, and he's been kind enough to agree to sit down and do an interview with me, which I'm very keen to do because I know very little about Tim, very little at all. So let's find out a bit more about him. Buckle up and enjoy the ride. So first of all, thanks for sitting down with us, Tim.
No problem.
Very much appreciated. So where did it all start, mate? Where are you from?
I'm from New York, near Albany. It's called Ravenna, New York. So, I lived there for, I don't know, 30 years. Before that, I was born and raised in the central New York area.
So it's all New York State, it's not New York City?
Nope, nope.
Okay.
I was definitely out in the, where I was raised was right in the middle of the country, so we had more cows than people.
Right, okay, okay. Because I've been to a lot of American states, I've travelled a lot, but I've never been to New York. And I always associate it with a city. But I met a guy the other week, the same as you. He lived in New York, but he'd been to New York once in his life. You know, he was down.
Oh, yeah. If you ask my family, when I lived up near Albany, they considered that the city, and I was kind of in a rural area there. But where I was originally from, born and raised, was very rural. Deer hunting, you know,
really,
farming,
it's
things
like that. It's like that, is it? Okay.
Right.
So, what did you do for a job there? You know, parents. What kind of background was it?
Well, I was a diesel mechanic. I started out in the military as a diesel mechanic, so construction mechanic, they call it in the military, CM.
Okay, well, let's go back to that then. So where were you actually born? Where did it all start?
Where was I born? I was actually born in Hancock, but we didn't live there. Deposit area was where I spent my youth area, youth time, which is near Pennsylvania border.
Okay. Big family or?
Just I have a sister. My mother's side has, I think, five total on her side.
Okay.
No, sisters and brothers. My father has just one brother. So.
Was it a good place to grow up?
It was. It was. When you're young, back in the 70s, you're outside, in the 60s, you're outside all the time, you know. And the kids were always outside playing. Kids worked back in them days too. You know, you had chores to do, and it gives you a good work ethic. Most everybody from that area, they're good workers to this day. You know what I mean? So
that's interesting. So, what was your first job when you left school?
When I left high school?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I worked at a convenience store. I worked in multiple convenience store, grocery store. Then I got a job at a restaurant doing dishwasher, and then after that I worked at a place that subcontracted for IBM making circuit boards.
Okay, when is this? What sort of age are you now?
I was probably 21 maybe then by that time. Okay. When I started making, I wasn't making the circuit boards, I just run the machine. We're plating, basically a plating area. So you gold plate the contacts, so you run through the machine, on the other side it sticks to the metals, and you gold plate them.
But is this still the quite early days of computers then? It's before...
Yeah, this was 1983 probably.
Okay, yeah, so IBM was still the giants in those days, I suppose.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they subcontract a lot of things out. A lot of people don't realize that. But we were right across the river from IBM in Endicott, so it was a pretty big place.
Do you enjoy that?
Yes and no. I mean, it's dangerous. A lot of chemicals. So, had a couple accidents while we were there, so it made you a little nervous. Had a sulfuric acid accident.
Really? They use chemicals in a computer factory? Oh, I thought it was all circuit boards.
Oh, yeah, to make all the circuit boards, yes.
Okay, right, yeah.
And I think a forklift operator had an accident, accidentally ran a fork through one of the 55-gallon drums of sulfuric acid one time. Right. So that made the whole building clear out, and they had to clear that out. And one time I was actually working a machine, and it has cooling pipes through the machine. Well, apparently it got a hole in it. So the water was going up and up. It's full of nitric acid, and eventually just went over the top.
Wow.
And I did the emergency protocol of turning it off, which made it worse.
One thing, Tim. When you do that with a table, the camera falls.
Sorry.
It's rocking out. People get seasick. Sorry, carry on.
That's all right. Yeah, so the nitric acid went over the top, and I had plastic shoes, but unfortunately they were put together with cotton, sewn together, so the shoe fell apart.
Oh wow! So were you hurt, or was it just? It was
no, I had little burns on my feet. That was it, but it wasn't bad.
The Chinese are coming. We're under attack. Okay, so and how long did you do that for?
2 years I did that.
Okay, and what did you do after that?
Joined the military.
So it was the military. All right. What did you do in the military?
I was a construction mechanic for an outfit called the Seabees.
Right.
And we went around. We went to Spain the first year. So we built things in Spain for 9 months. Then we go to every time you go back to home port for 5 months. Then you go back again, and went to Guam after that, which is beautiful. And after that, we went to the Philippines, where I met my wife. So
so how long were you in for?
5 years.
5 years. And is it something you'd always dreamed of doing, or was it just something you fell into?
Well, my whole family was in the military. My father was, my uncles were, and my daughter is now even. And
all in the Navy or different?
No, my father and my uncles were in the Army. My dad was drafted in Korea.
So what made you choose the Navy then? To be different, or you fancied sailing the seas?
To be honest with you, they guaranteed your job.
Right.
So if you, when you went into the recruiting station, whatever you picked is what they give you, where the other branches really didn't guarantee you. Air Force, I think at the time, guaranteed you a choice of, you could break it down to 3, but you didn't know what you're going to get till afterwards. Right. And it just, I don't like uncertainty. So.
No, I understand that. No, I know exactly what you mean. So you went to Spain first of all.
Spain.
Then you went to Guam. And then you were in the Philippines.
Philippines, and then after that I went to Puerto Rico.
Okay. Where in the Philippines were you?
Olongapo, they call it Subic Bay.
Oh, Subic Bay, yeah. That was a big base, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And how long were you there for?
9 months.
Okay, and that's where you met your wife?
When I met my wife. I knew I was in trouble when I hit there.
And did you get married quite quickly, or did you go off and keep in touch?
Well, I was nervous about the whole, especially for her. At the time, you can only get married once in your life. There's no divorce, right? So I was worried about that. If something happened and we got married right away, whether we could, she couldn't get out of it. You know what I mean? So I wanted to make our marriage in the United States. So I wanted to get her there. So I got a fiancé visa.
Right.
And by that time, when I left, probably about a month before I left, I found out she was pregnant with my daughter. So, I was still in the military, so I had to go back to Mississippi, try to get the paperwork going and done there. And then they sent me to Puerto Rico, where I really couldn't do the paperwork anymore because there's no embassy, nothing for the Philippines in Puerto Rico. So that slowed things down a bit.
Are they helpful with things like that, or is it a case of they try and get you away because they think they've seen it all the time, or do they try and help?
I wouldn't call them helpful, especially on the Philippine end. Yeah. They're really tough on the ladies as far as their interviews and stuff like that, if you ask me. You know what I mean? Right. So, but believe it or not, once I got out of the military, my mother, who writes her congressman a lot and things like that, very involved, she called her congressman and said, "Hey, my son has a daughter over there. He was in the military. Right. Let's get this done." And they made a few phone calls, and it got done in like 2 weeks.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So thanks to your senator. Yeah. It's good that they get involved like that. So how long have you been married for?
35 years.
35 years, wow. How many kids?
3.
3? But the other 2 were in the States, presumably?
The other 2, what's that?
The first one was conceived in the Philippines, the other 2 kids were born over in the States.
That's
right?
Correct, yeah.
Got you. Have you been back to Subic Bay since you...
No, I want to. I want to. I know it's totally different there, but
well, I don't know. I was going to ask you how much Philippines has changed, but unless you've been back to the places you were actually at, I suppose it's hard to answer. Because
I've seen videos. I mean, it's a lot more developed now than it was when I was there. But the barrio, Barredo, is, I guess, similar to what it was way back then. So it's not much difference from what I've seen in the videos. But it'd be interesting to see. I'm looking forward to going there.
Well, I've heard good things about Subic. I know it's got a great infrastructure because of the bases, but I mean, I've never been there, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to go on. I hear the Navy might. I don't think the Navy's ever going to come back like it was. You know what I mean? But I hear they're going to start back up again.
Yeah, I've heard they're coming back. So, what was it? Why did you only do the 5 years then? I mean, what was the?
Well, that's the contract for because CBs give you a little more education. So in return, you give them one more year. Usually, it's a 4-year deal.
Yeah.
And you have other things like if you go like nuclear program, you have to do 6 years because they're going to send you to school for 2 years. You know, so you have different lengths of contracts, but it's still a total of an 8-year contract. You have 3 years inactive where they still have you, even after you get out. They can call you back. So,
but I mean, was the primary motivation joining to get the trade then? I mean, or were you tempted at the end of it?
The motivation for me to get out was really because my wife had my daughter already.
Okay.
And I was trying to get that done. So that was my number one concern at the time.
Okay.
So, sacrifice. Plus, being married and in the military was not easy. I think they have 75% divorce rate.
Is that right?
Yeah. So
wow.
I think you really got to make a choice at that point whether it's family or your career.
Okay.
So.
I was about to say the opposite because I mean in the UK a lot of people they stay in the forces because they're married because it's so easy in terms of the married quarters and the support and that.
I think it's easier now. I think back in the 80s it wasn't as easy.
Okay, that's interesting.
I mean they send you somewhere for 9 months, a year, and if you don't bring them with you, your woman's alone.
No, I get that.
You know?
I get that. Yeah. It's different. So this music's getting louder and louder. So what did you do after that?
Well, I had a couple jobs, but then I got a job at a construction company, which was D. Collins Construction. Worked there for 2 years, and but I was getting laid off every winter because construction is slow in the winter, and unlike the builders who have side jobs, you know, construction mechanics don't. So I really didn't want to do that, get laid off every winter, so I wanted to work. So got into truck mechanics. So I worked for a place that subcontracted for the city of Albany.
Right.
And we did garbage trucks, pickup trucks, and did that for 2 years. But I wasn't really happy there. It was in a bad area, bad neighborhood, really.
Right. Okay.
And talked to the Snap-on guy. Snap-on guy knew somebody.
Right.
He told me about this job and went to work at TNT Repairs, who subcontracted for the railroad, and also did a lot of car carriers. And
what's that? Car carriers?
Car carriers. They pick up cars at the auto site.
Oh, cars, the cards. Okay.
Cars, yeah. Auto.
Okay, right. And while you were doing that, did you always have the intention of coming back to the Philippines at a certain stage? It
was always in the back of my mind, and probably the last 5 years was definitely starting to plan for that. And I think it's more of a economy issue. Healthcare is so expensive, and I really, to be honest with you, I can save more money doing nothing than I can working, and that's a fact.
Okay, so originally when you first got back, the plan wasn't necessarily to come back here, but as time went on, you came out. How did your wife settle? I'm sorry, what's your wife's name? I forgot.
Veronica.
How did Veronica settle in America?
In America? She did. She's actually pretty versatile. Her English is, she read a lot of books when she got there in English.
Yeah.
And she's a big book reader, and she really picked up on the language really fast. And
So you didn't have any problems with homesickness or anything like that? That wasn't so much of an issue?
Yeah, I think it was at first. You know, a lot of phone calls. Back then, phone calls were expensive. They like today where you can Facebook or whatever. It's I think it was costing me around $50 a month for phone calls. So it was.
Were you ever tempted to try living over here, working over here when you were younger, or was that never an option?
Nah, probably not an option. I think if I was ever to move to another country to work, it'd probably be Europe. You know, I actually love Spain. Spain was absolutely gorgeous when I was there.
So of all the places you were in when you were in the Navy, the Spain, Guam, Puerto Rico, and the Philippines, which was your favourite?
My favorite was the Philippines because my money went so far. I was out every single night. Right. I think I stayed on base 4 nights in 9 months. Right. So you think about it, and I couldn't spend all my money. Right. You know, I mean, the beers at the bar were 30 cents.
Is that right?
Yeah, and you go down to get the pork on the stick, which everybody did. You get 20 of them for $1.
Wow.
So it's like, it's insane how cheap it was back then.
I'm amazed you're saying that because I have images of it being a bit more like Thailand was, you know, in those days when you had the bases. And I mean, I wasn't there, but I know it was a lot cheaper then. But I'm told there was always someone willing to help you spend your money. You know?
So there is that. And even back then, I would say there's less than there are now, but women that are just going after your money. But I think number one priority for most all of them were to get married.
Really? They were looking for an American serviceman? Yeah,
I think long term, makes sense, you know what I mean?
It was a poorer country then in those days, wasn't it?
I think much poorer then. It's still poor now, but obviously.
Yeah, it's still poor now. So did you come back much in your, during the time you were married? Did you come over to see the family a lot?
This is the first time I've been back.
Wow, really?
Yep, she's been back, I've sent her, but it cost me $3,000-4,000 to send her back, and it's always during Fiesta time when we send her back, and it'll cost you $500 to $1,000 because there's 300 people that come to a Fiesta. Yeah. You're buying pigs, you're doing, so it's expensive.
And then you got 3 kids, you say?
3, yes.
Did they speak Filipino in that? I mean, are they very American or are they kind of?
Well, my son was actually is my stepson.
Okay. Right.
So it's he was born here. He's here till he's 14. So
he speaks obviously.
He's an amazing guy. Really is. He's basically takes care of us now. I mean, he does anything we need done in the States. Yeah. He does all that for us. Send us our money from our accounts, things like that. So he's very responsible.
That's very useful to have.
And he makes a lot of money too. He used to work with me for about 10 years, and he found a union job, and now he's down towards New York City. Makes crazy money down there. Puts in streetlights.
Fixing streetlights.
Puts in streetlights. He's an electrician for a company. Started out just doing the grunt work. Cutting the concrete and the roads and putting the cables in, but then worked his way up to the electrician. So does really well.
Good for him. Good for him.
And my daughter has moved up to work for a place that's, I don't think she's actually paid by the state. Maybe she is. I'm not even sure, but they oversee contracts for the state, and she's basically I think she looks over the contracts, make sure everybody's doing the work that they're supposed to be doing and things like that. So she makes decent money doing that. And my youngest daughter's in the military.
How was she in?
She's in the Navy, and that's one of the reasons I don't know if I really pushed her towards the Navy, but I told her the options. I mean, it's really, to me, for her, especially for a female, I think Navy and Air Force were the best 2 choices. So we explored the 2. Ended up with the Navy. But I got there, I told them I wanted her to have a career that's useful on the outside. And they said, yeah, no problem, stuff. But when she got to the recruiting station, they wanted her to be a gunner's mate. So they're trying to tell her that she could go in there to start as a gunner's mate and go for a better one later. And I'm like, no. We walked.
Stick to your guns. Stick to your guns.
Guess what? Yeah. And they made a phone. They called us back. I mean, her ASVAB scores were high. I mean, there was no reason to stick her in that. Right, nothing against gunner's mates, but I don't know what you're going to do on the outside.
It's not really the transfers over there.
You know, I mean, it's be like a torpedo man. What are you going to do after you get out? You know, my experience as a torpedo man. I mean,
I know exactly what you mean. So I think it's amazing that you haven't been back in all that time.
Yeah. No, I wanted to, but it's just.
No, but the point is, when I interview people, they're either like they're old hats, they've been here for years, or they're brand new. And I was going to say you're different because although you're kind of brand new here in terms of living, you've spent a lot of time here, but you haven't really, have you? You had your time when you were
my 9 months.
9 months, and then.
But most of my friends are married to Filipinos.
Right.
Filipinas, I should say, and so the culture hasn't really left me, even though I've been in New York. You know what I mean? The food, the conversations, and the people, so.
Okay, but why is that? Is that because they were in the Navy, or is that because you developed a community of friends because of your wife? I mean, how is it your friends all made?
I think because Filipinas, they have a social group. You walk around in New York, and the Filipinos sees another Filipino, they have no problem just going
right, so they're through your wife, you met them through the wife.
Yeah, and they have 2 Philippine clubs in Albany area.
Right.
It's a big community and they love talking their language, and that's how I meet people.
Yeah.
And so I have friends through work too, obviously, but a lot of times we go out for a weekend and stuff. It's karaoke. We're going to somebody's house. Everybody has karaoke.
Do you like karaoke?
I do a little bit, but I've kind of gotten out of it a little bit. But I had get a personal thing. I had nasal surgery about 10 years ago.
Right.
So my singing ain't the same as it was. My voice isn't the same as it was. So.
Well, you're a lucky man because you've got an excuse. I've never been able to sing. I can't.
But I enjoy singing. I love music. Obviously, you sing with
the music quiz, yeah.
Yeah, so I do pretty good in that. So it's a passion of mine, really.
You do indeed. He likes his 70s, 80s rock, and he likes his country. But,
very cool. I was stationed out of Gulfport, Mississippi, so. Right. If you didn't like country, you ain't listen to music because you are surrounded by it. So they kind of grew on me when I got there. Plus, I grew up with Johnny Cash, things like that. My mother and father liked country in the '60s. So
I do like Johnny Cash. He's a bit of a hero to me. So you've been back a month. The first question is going to be, why here? Because obviously your wife's from Subic. I'm assuming she's not from Subic originally.
No, originally, from what I've been studying. I wanted to either come here or to Tagaytay. Tagaytay was very interesting to me too. We still might end up there, but Valencia was I was interested in too, and still I don't know why we ended up in Bekong. It's just I really like being by the beach for what equals $600. I got 3-bedroom. It's a 3-bedroom house next to the ocean. I'm thinking with a pool.
That's where you're going to move to.
That's where we're going to move to. I think it's a good deal. You know what I mean? It just seemed like a really good opportunity. It's a really gated area, so it's pretty secure. So,
and you're right by the beach.
Right by the beach. So
why Valencia? Is that because of the YouTube?
I know it's cooler. Right. Now I went up there a few times, and I like the town of Valencia, and I like the market there. Saturday and Sunday. It's really, really nice. People seem a lot of expats up there, but.
Well, then what I'm getting at is because obviously Valencia's a very small place.
Well,
is that for the YouTube channel?
Oh yeah,
you've heard about it.
Let me tell you the rest. Yeah, I didn't give you the rest of the story, but we had a condo. I think it kind of fell through because we waited so long to sell the house. We sold everything we left.
Okay.
Sold it all, right. And give away the rest. But the condo kind of fell through. My daughter-in-law, who's also Filipino, my son's married to a Filipino, had it set up for us a condo, but it waited too long, and they ended up renting it out to somebody else. And but we have a friend who's his wife still owns a house here in Manhoyot, which is about a little over an hour outside of Dumaguete. And she said, "Why don't you stay there?" And her daughter's still here in Dumaguete. She works here, and good. And her daughter met us at the airport, brought us out there. We stayed out there. We didn't want to we didn't want to be out there, to be honest with you. I mean, power out every night almost.
Really?
And it was very, I don't know, quite a ways out there. We want a little more, I don't know, the things you can get done here in Dumageddon. You know, it's just everything you have to get done as far as paperwork, stuff like that. You have to drive on a scooter over an hour each way. It's kind of like, so we ended up getting a hotel for about 10 days, getting everything set up, and found this place, found the villa, then found this place, and come over.
Would you recommend this place?
Well, you know what's nice? It's very central.
Right.
You know, you got the islands, you know, Sigihor, Apo Island.
No, I mean Richmond. This
This here?
Yeah.
I like it. I mean, it's pretty. There's not a lot going on at night. I mean, except for the dogs. And I don't know, we got one crazy lizard out there who likes to make a racket too, but the security's really good. It's not expensive. I mean, it's around $400.
That's what you're paying a month here.
Yeah, so I mean,
you got a nice pool, but I've heard from someone else that it's pretty empty. There's not many people staying.
Yeah, I really don't know why that is. I don't know if it's that new, or I really haven't really asked around to find out, but. Yeah,
these things are sent to try.
You know, it's not that far from Diversion Road, which I learned really quick is an important avenue to get around the area.
So hopefully we'll be able to finish this. There's a noise going on in the background now. So what are your long-term plans now? Then you're planning on living here full time now?
For a year. I mean, we got a contract for a year at the villa.
No, I mean the Philippines.
In the Philippines, yes.
But that's
I don't have any plans on going back unless there's some sort of medical emergency that brings me back there. I mean, I can't afford to live there, to be honest with you.
Really?
You know, you take the money you get from Social Security and our savings. It'd eat up all our savings in probably, 5 years, whatever. You know, and then where would you be? You know what I mean? And even medical. I was paying like $1,000 a month for medical. Plus you got a high deductible. It's just I get paid cash here and probably beat that price. You know what I mean? So it's like, why?
Yeah, no, that blows our mind in Europe because obviously we don't pay for healthcare. So when you talk to people, and a lot of people you meet over here, their consideration is healthcare. You struggle to get your head around that.
Oh, I know. I heard about a lady who went vacation and broke her arm, fell off a hill, whatever it was, from 100 feet, and she went to the hospital and she's trying to get money sent to pay for the hospital bill, and they said no. She goes, I'm a foreigner. She goes, no, you don't owe nothing. See ya. I'm like, what?
Yeah, no, it doesn't cost anything. It's unusual. I mean, a lot of people when you're calculating your retirement in a European country, you've got a lot of considerations. I mean, house rent and that, but healthcare is. It's only when you come to somewhere like the Philippines you have to start thinking about healthcare costs and that for us anyway.
Yeah, I don't know if I could afford Europe or not. I mean, like I said, I liked Spain, but I'll hold it up.
Right, we're back now. We just had we're going to finish this interview now because they want to blow up some balloons behind us. So I've completely lost where we are now. So you're planning on staying here long term. The main motivation of coming here was obviously financial, as you explained, which makes a lot of sense to me. And it's a case of giving it a year here, and then if you love it, staying. If not, trying somewhere else. And
exactly. My son's coming in July, and they actually have land in Tagaytay. Originally, I think they had a problem with right-of-way to the property, but I think they've cleared that up. And we'll talk to my daughter-in-law and see if they're interested in building a house there or what they want to do with the property. It's all up to her, really. But
that was going to be my question. Are you thinking about building a house or land over here, or are you gonna?
I don't know if that really makes sense because, again, I don't like to be stuck in one spot. I would like to see a lot of the Philippines, so I don't want to really anchor myself down. Maybe if I get older, where I don't want to be just traveling all the time, So, but right now I like my freedom.
I'm the same as you, mate. People often ask me in the channel why I don't build a house and all that. And there's a lot of this involved, but apart from that, I've been an expat now I've been travelling, I've been living in Asia for the last 11 years. I've never found anywhere I want to stay forever. I want to keep travelling. Once you build a house, you're kind of saying, you know, that's it. And, you know, you want to be damn sure, don't you? It's the place that you want to live. That's the way I look at it forever. We'll finish up now. Just one last question. How's your first month gone? Is it lived up to your
We did a lot.
expectations?
We did a lot of traveling. Obviously, we went to Sigihor. We went to Po Island. I've driven. I don't know. I put 2,000 kilometers on my bike already.
Are you renting?
What's that?
Are you renting?
No.
Oh, you bought a bike already?
Yeah, but actually, our friend who helped us is my friend's daughter. Her name's Chi-Chi. She's been amazing for us. She helped us settle in. The bike was her husband's. Her husband's overseas working right now, so we bought the bike from him, and which was a good deal. And it's probably not a good bike for touring yet. You know, it's a 125, but don't have no suspension. So, you know, I'm old. My back hurts. You know, So the long rides, I've done a couple 5-hour rides. You know, where it was a little rough. I had to stop a couple times to walk it out a little bit. But
was that by yourself or with your wife?
With my wife. Yep.
How do you get her to do that?
She loves doing it.
Wow.
She loves going with me everywhere. I mean, I go to play my card games, stuff like that. She comes with me. She goes with me everywhere.
Oh no, I can understand that. It's just that problem I have, because I'd like to drive up to Bacolod and things, and it's not just me, it's every guy I know. Filipinos do not like going in the sun on the back of a bike. If I say, I'm going to go to Brown, I don't want that.
I don't know what it is about the sun. They're afraid to get dark.
Exactly.
You know, they have this thing about being dark. I'm like, to us, I think to expats, we like them.
Yeah.
They look tan, they look nice. And to them, they like being, I don't know what it is.
That is very unusual to get.
They have whitening soaps and stuff like that, lotions and things.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I don't know. I lived in Thailand for 7 years before I came here. And in Thailand, it is a class thing. Because if you're dark, it means you must work in the fields and outside and that kind of thing. So which means you're poor. So the paler you are, the more people assume you're what they call high soy. So that's what it's about. Whether it's the same in the Philippines, I've got no idea, but it's certainly that's what it's about in Thailand and Cambodia. It's like you look rich if you're pale.
Yeah, maybe that's it. I mean, actually when she came here, because, you know, we live in New York, she was paler probably than most Filipinos, but she's darkening up a little bit. But she does wear, she has the same thing. She wants to be whiter. She wears like sleeves over top.
Yeah, when they get on the back of the bike, they got a jacket and a jumper and
oh my God.
I don't want to get dark because I go black.
Yeah.
Say hello to the camera.
Hi. How are you guys?
Yeah, we've been together 37 years. So.
Wow, that's very impressive. Very impressive.
I think that's unusual here.
I've not met so many, but you're probably right. I mean, most of the people I know, it's the same story. They've reached a certain age, they've married a younger partner, and
we're only like 4 years different. So
yeah, you've been together for a long time, and that probably is quite unusual. That is quite unusual. Well, it's been great talking to you, Tim. Best of luck for the future. Hopefully, I'll see you again. Probably at the quiz this week. Yeah,
you will.
I appreciate you sitting down. It's been a very interesting interview, mate. I say, but I hope everything works out and the beach is okay for you, and you enjoy the year that you spend here, mate.
It's better probably than being in the Northeast where it's colder. And I've gotten to do a lot of things the last couple of months that I wouldn't be doing in New York. I'd be worried about just keeping the house warm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's the opposite. You're worried about keeping the house cold. Anyway, yeah. Well, hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed, you'd make me very happy if you did. But whether you do or whether you don't, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, stay safe, be lucky.